Okay, welcome to another fantastic Lightning Strikes Twice, the very short version of our longer lightning rounds where me and Casey, we have one topic apiece, 5 minutes to discuss. Casey, you're first, so take it away, man.
All right. Why do you think AI can't make letters and sentences when OCR technology is like super old? Couldn't it just work backwards from OCR?
Oh man, yeah, well, I think it has to do with the way it's trained and the way it operates because it struggles getting hands right too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I wonder if some of these are just like intentional bugs that they put in just to keep it from looking too real.
that could be. I
Like
think
forging documents and stuff like that. Like maybe that's why they can't do letters
it,
correctly.
well, it could be, but here's the thing: it is artificial intelligence. It isn't. It doesn't comprehend what it's looking at, essentially. So it's like, like if you say, I don't know, I've done a few things where I wanted to have something with text on it, right?
Yeah.
And it'll look kind of like text. And there, it does a few things like that. Like I recently wanted to I was like, because you had von Stauffenberg and in the previous Lightning Strikes Twice,
Mhm.
and I thought, okay, well, let's generate a Nazi officer, right? And it got kind of like it got the gist of kind of like the look. And actually, this is good. That's actually what I was hoping for. I didn't want swastikas because YouTube, if you have your thumbnail with a swastika, it's bad news. So this is actually where AI is kind of useful because it can kind of like be close enough without quite exactly being that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it'll make this kind of funky alien looking text, right? But it's like it's close. And I think that's because it doesn't really comprehend what it's creating. It's more like following some kind of algorithm, a process, sort of like almost like some kind of, oh, what's the art style that I'm thinking of? Anyway, yeah,
Impressionist or
yeah, kind of impressionist, yeah.
huh. I yeah. I feel like if you are very direct and you just put in quotes like have this text, quote whatever text, unquote,
Hmm.
I feel like that's super easy. It should just be able to be like, okay, copy and paste.
Well, you can even do image to like you can put an image in as the seed, and if it
Mm.
has text, it will still not be any human language. It's kind of wild.
Is, is it part of that like uh the how it looks at like multiple different things and then kind of amalgamates them into like one
Yeah.
style. Is it doing that with just all the letters and just mushing them together and
Well,
like
kind of it's what it's been trained on, basically. So when you're using generative AI, it's not like going to the internet and doing like an image search. It's like whatever has been fed into that system to train it, that's what it's drawing from. And and
but
that's
I
the
find
thing.
it hard to believe they're not trained with words. Yeah.
Maybe well, chat GPT, of course, but that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But when you're talking image generation, yeah, it's like, well, and because of the fact, in fact, it's because of the fact that it isn't pulling from the internet, like a direct one for one copy paste. It's like, hey, this is kind of the gist of what it should look like, because in all the images there's something sort of akin to that, right? Like there's a city street and maybe a shop with signs over it, and it doesn't know what signs ought to be there and what sort of text there should be, especially if you just say, oh, I don't know, downtown city street, right? It's like, well, I don't know where, what country, so
Right.
it'll just kind of get close, which is interesting. It's very fascinating, because that's actually really similar to how things are in dreams. I'm sure if you've
Yeah.
tried to read text, it morphs and changes, and you can't really see what it quite is. I mean, unless you're lucid dreaming, and even then, it's like, whoa, like, things get really weird. Um, it, so that's super fascinating, and I think we're sort of like beginning to explore through AI this sort of part of our own human psyche, almost like how our brain operates in the back end, which is very cool, very very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Being kind of like a dream state.
Yeah, yeah.
I wonder if that's, oh, now you'll never know what I was wondering.
Oh man. Hmm. Hmm. So I guess it's on to me then. Um, so mine, I guess, is I honestly don't know, philosophical ish. So recently, you know how YouTube, the algorithm will just feed you rando stuff that
Yeah.
like where did that come from? You know, it's completely not something I would have ever watched, which is good. That's a good thing. I'm glad they're doing that more and more, because I've found creators that have zero views on their videos, or in fact, well, I think maybe YouTube figured out that I like watching content from people who have don't have, like, you know, they have like 10 subscribers or something. I love it. But I came across this video where a guy in England is talking about how, like, he has a notepad that he'll carry with him all the time and write. And more he's noticing that people look at him weird if he's writing something in a notebook in public. Like, people give him these funky glances, and they it's like, ooh, what are you up to? They feel like there's some nefarious something or other going on. And that got me thinking, because I still write stuff down. I have a paper calendar and things. I mean, I use technology as well, but it's like I still love that. But we are drifting away from that, where people don't have notebooks, they don't have journals, they don't have paper calendars. Um, and do you think maybe we're losing something because of that?
Um, yeah. Yeah, I do because um there's something like tangible about, well, I mean, I still use paper notebooks,
Yep.
like constantly jotting down notes for music or whatever, um, uh, looking for jobs, stuff like that, and like talking on the phone, I jot it down. You can always kind of like go back, like, oh, that was like 3 pages ago. What was that? And reference it, like, but when it comes to like digital stuff, oftentimes it can get lost in the fold, or you don't have like a consistent file naming or file storing
Yeah.
system, and then you're wasting a bunch of time hunting, and you may have deleted the thing, and
Exactly. Well, and that's one of the problems with digital stuff. As much as people think it's permanent, it's actually ephemeral.
Mhm.
It can go away. Let's say Google goes out of business, right? Well, all your Android shit is going to disappear probably, unless you are very meticulous in backing it up. Like, I save all my old calendars. You know, my calendars, I have notes from things that I'm doing, or events, or people who are visiting and whatnot. And I save all those calendars. So it's like, hey, if I want to know something, I can, like, wait, when did that happen? Or when did I meet that person or something? I can go back through my stack of actual physical calendars and
Mhm.
flip through them. And you can't easily do that with digital. I mean, yeah, you have the
Well, if
capacity
you
to.
ever want to write a book about your life, well, that's
Well, yeah,
gonna come in
exactly.
handy.
And there's the other thing too. It's like, when you have files, digital files, it's kind of like you're saying, it's sort of a haphazardly crafted kind of pile of data. Whereas, like, I have old notebooks, all the, like, I used to use steno pads almost religiously, all the time, graph pads and steno pads. And I have a lot of the old pads from even all the way back, geez, into middle school. And it's kind of like a historical record. Everything is kind of in each page represents a passage of time. And
Hmm.
so I can flip through those things and kind of recall things from my past very easily. And it's nice because it's like, hey, these notebooks, you have doodles and stuff in there, and it. I don't know. I
Well, you
do.
can always make digital backups of these things,
Yeah.
like I've been going back and doing that with lyrics, for
Mhm.
instance, like I would handwrite lyrics like 99% of the time, even today,
Yeah.
and then I'm just going back and scanning them in so that at least there's kind of like a digital backup because
Mhm.
fire's a thing too.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's in the crafting of the physical version. In fact,
Hmm.
I think, I mean, for me, writing something down, physically writing it. I mean, even on these, I've got these LCD tablets all over the house. Um, Even that, I remember things so much better when I've written it down versus typed it into something, whether it be a computer or a phone. It's like I forget all that stuff. But once I've written it down, somehow it has more permanence, I suppose.
Huh.
Maybe there's more going on with your mind that makes it more concrete or something, and your brain's like, oh wait, got to remember that because like you're taking time to move your physical body to do this or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I and also too, like physical notebooks are a tangible record of things, what journals and whatnot. I mean, imagine if you have your phone and that's where all your data is, and like you die and nobody has is able to access it. Well, it's gone forever.
Yeah.
All your photos, everything you've ever done is gone forever. Whereas if you have it in a physical form, like a stack of notebooks or something, your family and friends can find that and go through it. Which
Hmm.
I mean, for better or worse, I mean, there might be things you might want to keep secret, but still, um, it, yeah, I kind of feel like I don't know. I've actually gotten into the habit now of on weekends I'll actually read books like paper books,
Hmm.
rather than just sitting there wasting time watching YouTube videos. Like I'll take some time, have some tea, and read a book, and it's great.
Okay, Captain Picard.
Well, there, that's a mic drop moment, I guess. Oh man,
I can't write it down. I'll remember.
I wish we could include that clip without getting dinged.
Right.
Oh man.
Well, that's been another fantastic Lightning Strikes Twice, and join us next week for another one.